How you doing, King David? Sometimes there, and he'll sometimes be by the Berry Street area in TCU. He takes the bus, but it's his form of ministry. Everybody's got their style, you know. But every time I pass, he always holds that Bible up, and I'm reminded of what's important in life, you know, God. But that's what he does. It's amazing that his ministry isn't known all over the world, but it's known around here for sure. And he does talk. He does talk to you. He's a nice guy. He calls himself King David. I don't know his real name. But it's a pretty interesting situation. I think he said a few words to me, like, hey, how you doing? That kind of thing. It's just his style of ministry. I don't know what it is about this road. I guess maybe it kind of reminds me a little bit of California. The hills. Hollywood Hills. That's probably what it is. And also it's kind of like a cave of trees. But if you go to California, you go near Mulholland Drive, you've got these roads that wind like this all over the place. By Laurel Canyon, Cold Canyon, all that stuff. I think there's a road right off Beverly that goes up to Mulholland. Anyway, that's probably why I film it all the time. I remember I went out there when I was, I guess maybe around 27, and joined a little acting class up in the hills, run by a lady named Diane Salinger. She played Simone in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. She's still around too. I found her ad in the back of like a Backstage magazine that they have out there. Some magazine. Called her up. She wanted to do an interview. And then she let me join her class. She studied with Stella Adler, who's a legend. And she worked with Clint Eastwood, Tim Burton. That was known as Burton Hill, that this road is. That's where the sign right here says Burton Hill. Anyway, she has all these stories about Clint Eastwood. She worked with him in the movie called Bird. But now she's doing Comic-Cons because Pee-wee's still famous, especially at the Comic-Cons. And so she can go to those, and then she sends stuff out, you know, about Pee-wee and his adventure with his bike. It's actually a true story though. I really did go out there and became an extra, they call them background artist. There's a lot of people out there. People don't even realize how many of them. Thousands of background artists that make a living off doing it. I think some of them were making $300 a day. Back then, that was a lot. Like, this was probably turn of the century, 2000, 2001, 2002. All right, it is a Wednesday, October 15th, 2025, about 5:14 in the p.m. Welcome to the Please Subscribe show. So glad you could make it. And here is Critter. Likes to live, laugh, and smell good. He's a mirror critter. And we're headed off. Let's see. I got to play a little guitar today. I listened to some Bruce Springsteen's Nebraska. Some of it's sad. Didn't know he had those types of songs. Kind of trying to listen to some of Bruce Springsteen stuff. Found out about the ghost of Tom Joad the other night. I guess last night. And then I've been playing some Eisenkopf, Alan Gregory Eisenkopf, and other stuff too. Another band I found out of nowhere called Y Oak. they're kind of uplifting, you know, for the holidays. Please subscribe, and I'll put my PayPal if you want to support the channel. I'm, I guess, a writer. Also, I write songs, but also I'm working on like this little novel, and I guess, you know, I like to create things, and this part of it is the content creating part of it. This is a part where you get to watch me pick up food at doorsteps and drop it off at your, pick up food at restaurants. I always say that. Pick up food at restaurants. Unless I'm turning the food around, I might pick it up at the doorstep and then drop it off at your doorstep. That's what I meant to say. I said it backwards. So pick up food at restaurants and drop it off at your doorstep. Okay, now we're on the right page. It's called the Please Subscribe Show. I'm Cole Spivey. All right, hit subscribe, and here we go. And there's the butterfly. I decided to go ahead and green light the project, and I checked on WeatherBug, and it's 85 degrees Fahrenheit. It says 87 in my car, so it's a little bit lower in the Fahrenheit status. All right. Oh, and there is stuff going on at the museum too. There is Ginny Saval, the Modern, and Myth and Marble at the Kimball Art Museum. And at Casa Manana, for October, they're doing like a children's play called Junie R. Jones, and West Side Story's coming in November. So Leonard Bernstein stuff's gonna be there. Alrighty. Alright, looks like we got one at HG Supply. 5:32 arrival, 5 minutes, 0.7 miles for the pickup. All right, HG Supply on its way. 5:46 arrival, 4 minutes, 0.9 mile for the delivery. All right. Next one, Chipotle. 5:55 arrival, 3 minutes, 0.6 mile for the pickup. All right, Chipotle on its way. 6:07 arrival, 7 minutes, 2.2 miles for the delivery. All right, got a McDonald's, 6:14 arrival, 3 minutes, 0.9 mile for the pickup. All right, McDonald's on its way, 6:26 arrival, 4 minutes, 1.2 mile for the drop-off. right, got a pretty good one at Zap Kitchen. On our way, 6:46 arrival, 1 minute, 0.4 mile for the pickup. All right, Zap Kitchen coming near you. 7:05 arrival, 10 minutes, 3.4 miles, 3.5 miles for the delivery. You guessed it, Mellow Mushroom on our way, 7:17 arrival, 3 minutes, 0.9 mile for the pickup. There's a snag and a Mellow Mushrooms right there. Mellow Mushroom, they got this little man on a bicycle carrying a pizza. Big old nose. All right, Mellow Mushroom on its way, 7:35 arrival, 10 minutes, 3.9 miles for the delivery. All right, got it delivered. And looks like we came across a little business. Burton's Beauty Box. Huh. All right, headed back to Mellow Mushroom, 7:52 arrival, 3 minutes, 1.1 mile for the pickup. All right, Mellow Mushroom on its way, 8:25 arrival, 21 minutes, 13 miles for the delivery. Nope, gotta stop and get some gas. Alright, we got a Panera Bread, 8:53 arrival, 1 minute, 0.2 mile for the pickup. Alright, this Panera Bread is on its way. Cook Children Medical Center, 9:05 arrival, 6 minutes, 1.9 mile for the delivery. Looks like they got the Cook Children's Medical Center under construction. This brand new jack-o'-lantern. Carved pumpkin. It's got air running through it. All right, got an ID check at 7:11. 9:26 arrival, 4 minute, 1.9 mile for the pickup. Alrighty, 7-Eleven on its way, 9:32 arrival, 2 minutes, 0.6 mile for the delivery. That guy was all the way from upstate New York. Alright, let's see. There's a movie I like called Schenectady with Philip Seymour Hoffman. It's set in kind of the upstate New York area. I got one for Potbelly, 9:37 arrival, 1 minute, 0.5 mile for the pickup. They even got a Potbelly stove inside. It's known as a Cole's. Oh, hi. Let's do a restroom check. Oh yeah, this one definitely gets a thumbs up. Nice tile floor. It's got a koala bear for changing of kids. It's a nice little photo. It's gonna get a thumbs up for me. Yeah. Nice restroom. The sandwiches are so good. We always eat them ourselves. All right. Potbelly on its way, 9:53 arrival, 9 minutes, 3.5 miles for the delivery. somebody's dog. It's about 10 o'clock. Right off Morningstar and almost Hemp Hill. That's that one, Jennings and Morningstar. All right, headed to the Grocer Warehouse. 10:07 arrival, 3 minutes, 1.4 mile for the pickup. All right, Grocer Warehouse on its way. 10:24 arrival, 8 minutes, 3.8 miles for the delivery. All right, we got a wing stop. 10:35 arrival, 3 minutes, 1 mile for the pickup. Right next to the China Express. All right, on our way to Hill Hall with the wing stop. Total amount is going to be 10:49, 4 minutes, 1 mile. This one's known as Hill Hall. They kind of meet like a T right here. All right, we're gonna finish up a little early tonight. Didn't really say a whole lot about no movie reviews. Still listening to Gregory Alan Eisenkopf and occasionally Springsteen, but I gotta admit about Bruce, about the boss, is it gets emotional after a while, especially in Nebraska. And I can only take. I mean, I think he's a great musician, but I get overwhelmed with a lot of emotion. So he's what he does with the guitar, he's kind of on the same level as like Dylan or something. He's an iconic, and also some of the backup stuff they do is great. And I listened to a little bit of Born in the USA album, which I think is after Nebraska. Nebraska was 82. I think Born in the USA was 84. I'll have to double check that. I haven't always been a major Bruce Springsteen follower until this movie came out. I'm not going to really be able to see the movie, but I have been a Bob Dylan listener and follower, and really dig Bob Dylan ever since college, and had some bootleg copies of some of his stuff. And that's what I think of when I listen to early Bruce Springsteen. I think of Bob Dylan. I hope that's okay with Bruce. But I've seen the Broadway Bruce Springsteen when he brought all the stuff on Broadway, did like a one-man show. That I really liked. I listened to that on Spotify and saw some of it probably on some cable shows and stuff like that. I don't know which one. There was HD Broadway for a while. But yeah, I'm probably going to go on an adventure with Bruce. The boss is what they call him, Bruce Springsteen. I know Adam Sandler is a dedicated follower and listener to him, and he's definitely iconically, the greatest. He's one of the greatest for sure. I can tell. I probably sometimes I save the best for last. But I remember his Dead Man Walking stuff when Dead Man Walking came out and everything else, and he's done a lot of soundtrack stuff. He's been nominated for Oscars, and I don't know all the statistics on him, but definitely, when I was listening to Eisenkopf's interview, Gregory Allen, who I think is amazing for modern day folk. You could say Bruce was folk, but some of his stuff is definitely folk rock and pop rock and things like that. Bruce Springsteen, he's versatile. He's a musician's musician. He can do it all. He can have a hit song like Born in the USA. It's like a rock anthem nearly. And then he can do stuff that's like Dylan, where he's telling a story. And Nebraska, he does that. It's very much a storyteller's album. And I think he talks about the death penalty a couple of times, which I was like, hey, that reflects what he did with Dead Man Walking. And Johnny 99 is a great song. I think he mentions Deliver Me From Nowhere twice so far on the Nebraska album. And I think the movie's about him wanting to do the Nebraska album. So you have to kind of listen to the Nebraska album, I guess, before you go see the movie. Which I'm not going to be able to see the movie anytime soon. At least it's given to me for free. But I'll be able to watch clips from it and hear reviews and stuff. But I think in Johnny 99, he mentions it. And the U.S., I think the State Trooper song, he mentions Deliver Me From Nowhere. And then I'm like, okay, I see where they got that lyric for the movie. So you can obviously tell that I'm not the best, or I'm not a Bruce Springsteen connoisseur at all. Really risky for me to even talk about him. I feel like I'm kind of talking about a God folk icon. You know, I'd be careful. But yeah, he does connect emotionally very well. So does Gregory Alan Essenkoff, who I'm listening to as well. Why I'm crossing between the two, I don't know. But the two that I've listened to is going to be The Ghost of Tom Joad, right. The Ghost of Tom Joad is a 1995 album. They got 11th in the Billboard. And everything else, I think, placed in the Billboard. And then Nebraska, I listened to that, and I'm like, wow, I'm blown away. I was like, I'm surprised that's one of his first albums. And it sounds like a bootleg copy or something. It's a good recording. It's not a failed recording. It's very clear. You can hear the guitar very well. Harmonica. It starts off with this great harmonica piece where you're like, man, this guy really has mastered the harmonica. Like Dylan, you know, Bob Dylan was the same way. You know, I have a harmonica, but I don't have a headgear with it. So I've only used it a few times for a couple songs that I've tried to do, but very rarely. Because it's one thing, it's very loud. I got to be quiet. Well, that's why a lot of my songs are very quiet. And I usually record them in the afternoon if I do. But I did find something. I was diddling around today, and I found something that might be something new. Because the one that I did record, but I have not released it, is called Make It Fun. And that one's kind of a unique one. And then this one, I did write down the title of it, but I'm going to keep it quiet for now to see if it goes forward. I feel like sometimes talking about things is not always the best thing, especially when it comes to songs. It's about playing it and you know, knowing it very well. And then once you know it like the back of your hand, then it becomes your song. Other than that, it's just something you're working on until you finite it because of the love of that song. I told Linda today, I said, you know, I wish I could go back and love the music again, you know, love making the music again. We all get work and all this stuff that we put first, you know, and I don't think Bruce Springsteen put anything else but the music first in his life. Hopefully he put God first. I'm sure he did. And then God helped him get to the music. Because he talks about it in his one-man show. But, you know, it takes a passion. And if that's not there, you know, sometimes I'm in wonder. And then that kind of can turn into passion. And then once the passion is there, then you know that it's going to take over and you're actually going to be playing. Other than that, it's just, you're just in wonder, thinking, like, what is this? What's this chord do? Another thing, I'm trying to be more aware of what my fingers are doing and what this means and when I'm strumming, because I've been watching, what's weird is I fall asleep sometimes to YouTube, watching stuff, just whatever. And it always puts me on Rick Beato, and I wake up. He was doing an interview with the lead singer, Tom Hawkins, the lead singer of The Darkness, who's out and talking about British bands and stuff. And I woke up and I watched that interview, and then, you know, they're talking about content as opposed to art. And I think I know what they're talking about. I think the content is when you're talking about it and you're laying it out, you're kind of teaching it, and then the art is when you're performing it, and it's becoming something as you sing it or whatever. But I'm just talking, you know, just talking. All right, that's good for now. Gonna head back, feed Kitty. this one right here has a title, "This Empty Northern Hemisphere," then ... That's all it gives me right there. All right, kitty. We're gonna share food with the outdoor cats. Now I know you get excited. We're gonna take an elevator ride. Come on. Here we go. Elevator ride over here to the couch. Hang on. Give Toby a scoop. Or Tabby. Tabby, Toby, Tabitha. And then here comes Kitty. You're gonna get yours in a minute. You're gonna get the good stuff, Kitty. All right. There we go. A little bit right here. There. And then they're gonna get theirs. You don't mind, do you? You're okay with it? Okay. All right, you better hurry. I'll be right back. All right, Tabby. Here we go. All right, here we go. With today's kitty. There's one kitty, 9 lives, and each life has a number. Numbers 1 through 9. Swirl the cat food and pick a cat food. Today's kitty will be having fancy feast gravy lovers. Ocean whitefish and tuna feast and gravy. What do you think? All right, he loves it. Showed affection towards the can. Got proof of it. It's nearly scientific. All right, kitty. Famous Edmund. Tuxedo, scratchy Casafettis. Enjoy your 2 scoops. Alrighty. I'm gonna be having some leftover chicken and rice. All right, y'all have a good night.